The story of the 2011 Super Outbreak didn't begin on April 27th. It started days earlier, as the atmosphere was quietly gearing up for one of the most violent weather events in American history. On April 25th, a powerful dip in the jet stream carved a deep trough over the central United States. This created the perfect setup by pulling warm, moist air northward from the Gulf of Mexico, while cold, fast-moving air raced overhead. The collision of these air masses generated extreme wind shear, a crucial factor that causes thunderstorms to spin, developing into deadly supercells. That day, tornadoes began touching down, including a deadly EF2 wedge tornado near Valonia, Arkansas, which tragically claimed 4 lives. Across the region, storms caused widespread damage and raised alarms among meteorologists. The next day, April 26th, the system intensified as dozens more tornadoes formed across Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, and beyond. The atmosphere became increasingly unstable, with a growing mix of heat and moisture feeding the storms, while strong winds high in the atmosphere continued to create the conditions for violent rotation. The Storm Prediction Center recognized the severity early on and issued high-risk severe weather outlooks for several southern states, warning residents of the potential for long-track, intense tornadoes. This was no ordinary spring storm. It was a rare and deadly combination of meteorological forces coming together to set the stage for an unprecedented outbreak. For millions in the path of these storms, the looming question was simple and urgent. How could they survive what was coming next? The calm before the storm on the morning of April 27th was deceiving. Before sunrise, a powerful line of storms swept across Mississippi and Alabama, not as isolated supercells, but as a fierce squall line, hiding tornadoes within its fury. Around 5 o'clock in the morning, an EF3 tornado tore through Cordova, Alabama, causing severe damage and knocking out power to thousands of residents. This early assault severely hampered communication and warning systems, leaving many communities vulnerable as the day progressed. As the sun rose, the clouds briefly parted, allowing sunlight to warm the ground and fuel the atmosphere's instability. This warming, combined with the moist air from the Gulf of Mexico, created an explosive environment ready to unleash violent storms. By late morning, scattered supercells began forming, each a potential tornado factory. Tornado warnings steadily increased, a chilling signal that the worst was yet to come. For those living in the affected areas, the morning was a tense wait as the atmosphere charged toward catastrophe. By early afternoon on April 27th, conditions had become a perfect storm for destruction. Around 2:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time, the first EF5 tornado of the outbreak touched down near Philadelphia, Mississippi. This violent twister remained on the ground for nearly 29 miles, devastating everything in its path, scouring Earth and claiming 3 lives. Almost simultaneously, an EF4 tornado slammed into Cullman, Alabama, ripping through the city's downtown with terrifying force. Live news footage captured the swirling vortex, a dark funnel filled with debris and destruction. Across Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee, supercells churned out long-track tornadoes with unprecedented speed and frequency, averaging 6 new tornadoes every 30 minutes. Nearly 90% of the supercells that day spawned tornadoes, shattering typical outbreak statistics and showcasing the extreme efficiency of this violent storm system. At 3:05 p.m. Central Daylight Time on April 27th, one of the most catastrophic tornadoes of the outbreak touched down in Marion County, Alabama. This tornado would become infamous as the Hackleburg-Phil Campbell tornado, carving a path on the ground for an astonishing 132 miles over 2.5 hours. It intensified rapidly, reaching EF5 status, with estimated wind speeds of 210 miles per hour. Entire neighborhoods in Hackleburg vanished, including the complete destruction of a Wrangler denim plant and local schools. The tornado maintained this deadly intensity as it swept through Phil Campbell, where well-built brick homes were obliterated and cars were hurled hundreds of yards, many never recovered. This single twister was responsible for 72 deaths, ranking it among the deadliest tornadoes in Alabama's history. Almost simultaneously, another EF5 tornado struck Smithville, Mississippi. With winds measured at 205 miles per hour, it leveled 18 homes, debarked trees, and killed over a dozen people, leaving devastation in its wake. Perhaps the most infamous supercell of the outbreak was the one that produced the Tuscaloosa Birmingham tornado. This storm traveled an incredible 380 miles from Mississippi all the way to North Carolina, lasting over 7 hours. At 4:43 p.m., it unleashed its most destructive tornado, a massive wedge that grew up to 1.5 miles wide as it slammed into Tuscaloosa. The tornado tore across major roads and commercial districts, destroying stores, restaurants, and apartment complexes. Debris was hurled so far that it was later found over 20 miles away in Birmingham. Maintaining EF4 strength, the tornado devastated Tuscaloosa's suburbs and northern Birmingham before finally dissipating. The death toll reached 64, with damage costs estimated at $2.4 billion, making it the costliest tornado in United States history at that time. The apocalyptic imagery of flattened city blocks and stripped forests painted a haunting picture of nature's power unleashed. This peak period of the outbreak included 3 confirmed F5 tornadoes, a rare and deadly cluster that left entire communities wiped from the map across Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. When the sun rose on April 28th, the true scale of destruction became painfully clear. Although tornado activity continued sporadically in states from Florida to New York, the most violent phase of the outbreak had ended. Across those 4 days, a total of 362 tornadoes were confirmed, with the overwhelming majority touching down on April 27th. The death toll reached 348 people, including 324 deaths directly caused by tornadoes, making it one of the deadliest tornado outbreaks in United States history. Alabama was the hardest hit state, with 238 tornado-related fatalities and more than 2,200 injuries. Entire towns had been decimated, and communities were left grappling with unimaginable loss. The combined damage estimates for the outbreak approached $11 billion, securing its place as the costliest tornado outbreak ever recorded in the country. The physical destruction was staggering. On just April 27th alone, the combined tornado paths stretched over 1,200 miles. Cities like Tuscaloosa and Hackleburg were reduced to rubble, forests were stripped bare, and critical infrastructure was devastated. Power outages affected hundreds of thousands, with some areas in Alabama experiencing blackouts lasting weeks due to damaged transmission lines. Emergency responders and search and rescue teams worked tirelessly in the days following, sifting through debris for survivors and recovering those who had lost their lives. In Tuscaloosa alone, debris removal costs exceeded $100 million. Beyond the visible scars on the landscape, the emotional toll on survivors and communities was profound and enduring. The 2011 Super Outbreak was not just a meteorological disaster, it was a human tragedy that tested the resilience of entire regions. In the years since the 2011 Super Outbreak, the hardest hit communities have shown remarkable strength and determination in their recovery efforts. The scale of destruction prompted advances in meteorological research, leading to improved forecasting techniques and earlier warnings. These improvements have helped save countless lives in the years that followed by giving people more time to seek shelter. Emergency management agencies also revisited their preparedness plans, focusing on community education and resilience. Many regions invested in stronger building codes and expanded storm shelter programs aiming to reduce vulnerability to future tornadoes. The outbreak underscored the critical importance of early warnings and communication infrastructure, especially in rural areas where access to real-time alerts can be limited. While the outbreak set grim records such as the highest number of tornadoes in a single day and the costliest damage in U.S. history, it also highlighted the human spirit's capacity to endure. Survivors shared stories of courage and kindness amid devastation, inspiring ongoing efforts to support those affected. Memorials and annual remembrances keep the memory of the victims alive, reminding us all of the power and unpredictability of nature. So just how devastating was the 2011 Super Outbreak? It was a once-in-a-lifetime meteorological catastrophe that reshaped not only landscapes, but also emergency response strategies nationwide. The lessons learned continue to influence tornado preparedness today, helping communities face the future with greater knowledge and resilience.